How much does each Ancient Gods level put you in the fun zone? Let's take a look now. First up, UAC Atlantica, haha. This is the first map of Tag 1, and it starts off with a bang. This picks up right where Final Sin leaves off. It literally feels like a continuation of the campaign because there are no spirits and no blood makers, and it really just feels like that next map. It's a really cool setting with the rainy scene, looks real just dark and foreboding and ominous, right? And it's just really cool how it puts it together and brings you into the DLC. It ushers you in and welcomes you while turning it up a little bit from Final Sin in difficulty to get you acclimated to like, hey, this is your entry to the DLC 1. You thought the campaign was like really hard? Well, this is going to be even harder, and this is the little taste of what is yet to come. You also meet the double Marauder section, the very first official one, which is really cool, how they both just come through the red portals, and it really sets the tone. They actually, fun fact, they were going to use different things like gargoyles in that arena, but after testing, Hugo and the team felt like that was a little too much for that area there, so they switched them out with zombies. Now, what are we going to do here? Where should this one go? Press F, rip and tear a little, or Fun Zone? UAC Atlantica facility goes into rip and tear a little, because it's another thing that really sets it apart that gives it these points is the destruction part. Like Argent Facility Destroyed really reminds you of this one. You see the intact and destroyed part, except Argent Facilities was cooler, but altogether that gives it bonus points. Really cool Atlantica part, but you're still rip and tear a little bit. The Blood Swamps. Oh, this one actually took you a little bit to get warmed up to. It wasn't the biggest, greatest at first, but man, does that soundtrack slap. All right, so the Blood Swamps goes right into one of these. You get your first buffed Marauder, which is rad. It's the same as the Faltering from the regular Marauder, which is pretty cool. And it's definitely worth a mention because the buff totem is a little caged off, right? You also meet the Green Wolf section. You meet just so much cool stuff. When you get out to the big arena, when you get to choose the left or the right gate, it reminds me of Foundry, giving the player the places and the choices to go in the order that they want to go in. This map introduces the spirits, which are a pretty cool enemy, and really teaches you how to use those. The Baron that was possessed is now changed for a Hell Knight, which can also go into an Imp if things mess up with the spawn limits and such. And altogether, it's pretty cool. They have Trial of Malagog in the boxes. The music is just slapping for the Blood Swamps. It just love it. Goes great. Great job, Andrew. And altogether, Blood Swamps is honestly, it won favorite level when I did the Doom Eternal community post. Everybody vote on your favorite level. DLC had a little bit of an advantage, which the way it was laid out. But altogether, Blood Swamps are going to go to Fun Zone. You got to be in the Fun Zone with them, man. Have to. The Holt Up Wait a Minute level, what's it going to be? Well, it introduces the Blood Makers, originally called Blood Angels. So it gets some points for that because it introduces them in an interesting way. And you meet, of course, all the way to the end, you have Sammer, which is just a crushing fight because you followed Samuel since 2016, and now this form of him you have to kill off. Well, he teleports away. I still want to know where that jerk is. You meet you got the Bloodmaker. You also get the Possessed Marauder the very first time. Not my favorite part because he's a little tanky, a little tedious sometimes. They have made changes over the months that have made him a little bit nicer and better, and all around improve the fight from the infinite carcasses to just having one and then the other demons, buffing that Slayer Gate. You follow and go through this Urdak Light, Diet Urdak, if you want to call it that. It's a really good experience. You get these cool areas to platform, which is all right. You know, all these things introduce the 2-up. You go to the final arenas, Hazards. It's not a perfect place, but those last couple arenas before the dual choices that you make, the bridge and under, are brutal. And of course, Sammer himself is a very tough boss fight. I've done a few videos on him because he is worth breaking down and analyzing. You should check those out if you haven't already. Holt, where does it go? Does it go to Press F, Rip and Tear a Little, or Fun Zone? Most people, I want to see if you can guess this in the comments before I do this. Some people I know would say Press F for the Holt. They don't like it. Some people I know would do Rip and Tear a Little. That's probably the most common selection, I think, is where it would go. Fun Zone for me, just got to be honest. Tag 1 is really good. I have to place it there. Have no choice. The World Spear. Oh, okay, so now I know Tag got a buff. I am basing this off of the original versions that Tag 2 came out with. And even if the buff is considered, it's probably not a huge deal, really. But the World Spear is pretty cool. It originally had a lot of incidental encounters. Whenever I switched the music out of World Spear with Meat Hook, with a little mod, it's got a lot of the light fighting. And even though some of those areas are changed, it's pretty long level. It's got some really cool Meat Hook nodes it teaches you with. And you get some cool fights. The forest fight is really cool. It's pretty dark. You get the Sentinel Hammer. There's so much stuff that this introduces. And all the way through the escalation encounters it brings forth, all the traversing and platforming, you're really traveling in a new, ancient, Sentinel-like zone. I love Sentinel levels, by the way. I really do. But World Spear is probably least favorite of the 3, 4 aesthetically. It's different. It's supposed to be different. It's tag 2. It's a cool level, though. It really does look nice. The forest is cool. You go to the very end and you see, like, oh, this is no signals that Urdak has given off, what the intern says. And you just find some really neat stuff there. The 5 Marauder Easter egg that I found out is also part of this. But altogether, World Spear, I know most people would put it in Fun Zone. Some people may put it in Press F. Some people may put it in Rip and Tear a Little. I'm one of those people. Rip and Tear a Little. Reclaimed Earth. Did a Call of Duty video. It reminds me of Reclaimed Earth. Pretty cool. It's like Art Complex, but in Earth level form. People also call it the Last of Us level. And it's decent. It introduces you to, well, I don't know. I mean, not much, really. I mean, you already had Screechers and Stone Imps on World Spear. You go through, there are some cool things. It's got a pretty sweet track. There's a part of it that goes like and it's really sweet. It's like almost dancey, almost. I know that's really hard to tell from that, but good track. It's got some decent areas. Altogether, Reclaimed Earth. The final fight reminds me of Art Complex, the warehouse section of it. Really reminds me of that. A lot of people say that these DLC 2 arenas have just boxiness Quake deathmatch instead of the sprawling arenas and intricacies that the base game had. And I understand there was some push to have this out before the year 1. I get that. Reclaimed Earth, altogether, Press F. I mean, it's okay. It's not a bad level. Don't hit me. Don't kill me. It's okay. It's probably, I just have to give it that one. Immora. Immora could have been so much more based off the concept art that we had, and no changes in the buff either. It starts off with that huge cutscene from the Avengers. I've never seen that movie. And it just goes on into sprawling city, the Dark Lord's final bastion, Hell's final city that he has to... His heart and capital is this city. That's where his lair resides. And to fight through these mountains with all the sentinels and crap going around you, and the banging track by David. Seriously, can we give that dude a little clap there? Andrew does great too, man. It just, all of the vibe and the aesthetic as you go through. Seeing the Dark Lord fly and move away and going through just the whole outside into the city core, which is okay too. All these armored barons and crap. But there's a problem. It's not the Screecher Marauder double platform. It's empty. It's just too empty. I know that it's meant to be this final city, so it should have had more in it, I feel like. They also didn't want to make Tag 2 this extremely difficult, just sweat lord encounter that Tag 1 was. But all the same, it just doesn't feel like it's enough. It's got some tricky encounters, sure, like the double Marauder, but it's just not enough. It feels emptier than Hell's Final City should. The final fight against the Slayer. And for that reason, where should we put it? Well, I did play an Immora modded master level by Convas. Just, boom, he put an escalation encounter in the city with all the sprawling areas. There's triple archvile, one was possessed. Super hard. That last platform he had was just insane of a fight. Originally, the Stone Imps, to give you a little palate cleanser before the Dark Lord fight, and that last final arena, which wasn't too bad. Altogether, Immora, I can't put it in Fun Zone. It is fun, but if I were to say, I can't put it in Press F. The potential it has, if it did not have the potential that it has, if it did not have the vibes that it has, despite the concept art looking cooler, it would go in Press F, but I'm going to rip and tear a little. And finally, the Dork Lord level. Yes, this is the final fight of the Slayer. I believe he was going to actually be a little more in-depth, mech and dragon and all that stuff, more so than he is, but time constraints, I get it. You fight him, he is the equal enemy opposite of the Slayer. Not quite like a Jacob Dusk fight, but more like a bigger Marauder is what a lot of people have called him. There is no meat hook node in the middle. I wish that there was, so you can fly around, but that would also probably take away from the fight of the Dark Lord. I thought when you first did the punch in between the phases, it was so good. It faked you out. That was so cool. And each phase just works up in health. I think it goes from like 20 to 30 to 40 total, something like that, because you do the punch in between each one. He has the summons. The setting is really cool, how you start inside and go out and then go to this Immora Sanctum to finish it off. All of that is pretty sweet. But the arena itself, I just wish there was more in it. Just wish there's more that could be done. So it can't be Fun Zone for me. And it's one of the... What are you going to think? What are you going to put it as? Rip and tear a little or press F? Here's the thing about it. It's got potential. It does. But in its current state, even with the summon demons, all the extra things, it's a press F level for me. Be sure to become a member to support the channel, get a cool badge by your name, and check out my next tier list video here. I am Alston. Thank you so much for watching.